Before we activate the Array43 software, now that you've installed it, there's one step you need to exercise, and that is that if you are using a Windows 11 system, you have a problem and a choice. Not really much of a choice. Um, Basically, since the first instance of Win32 on a Microsoft mainline system, which was Windows NT, for the better than 30 years, there has been a thing called a command prompt window or a command window. And that was a nice little character-oriented terminal for a program running on Win32. It was one of the things that you could select. You could select either windowed mode or console mode as the startup mode for an executable. And if you did the console mode with your executable, you got one of these when you activate the program. There was a mechanism for typing and expecting in it. There was also a set of APIs in DLLs that you could call to do things like controlling the size and shape of the window and the position and the choice of fonts and the color palette and everything else. So naturally, we used it blithely like everybody else for 30 years. It was very convenient. However, as of Windows 11, that is no longer the case. As of Windows 11, the command prompt and the front end that you get if you are a console mode program is by default the Windows application called Terminal, which is new and wonderful and improved, except for one thing, and that is that none of the API calls apply to it. And so we can't control any part of this thing like font and color palette and size and shape, etc., from inside the program any longer. So it's very undesirable because we sort of depend on those things to make our human interface decent. If your command prompt looks like this, and you can, by the way, get this program regardless of the settings in the system by simply saying terminal to one of those places where you can type a word and the system will run the program it thinks that you should. You will get one of these things, and if you would like to use our system as designed on NT, on Windows Win32, for now you will have to disable this interface here in lieu of the original standard 30-year-old and works fine command prompt and console mode. So to check what you're doing, say terminal, and see if you get the same thing that you do for the command prompt. If you do and it looks like this, you need to change it. And if you do get this and want to change it, what you do is you go up here and you hit this little down snick and say settings. And you'll get all of these settings. One of them is default terminal application. And over here on the right, you get a drop-down menu, and there are three options. Let Windows decide which is the default, Windows Console Host, which is the old program, and Windows Terminal, which is the new program. This system here has already been corrected, if you will, in that you can see we've got Windows Console Host selected. And that's what you have to do also if you want to run our stuff the way we wrote it. Sorry to do that to you, and it will take some time before we find out whether Microsoft has actually supported all of the API functions that worked with console mode in this terminal program. And if they did, and if we can make the look and feel of it right for you, we'll eventually do that. For right now, you need to run the old Windows Console Host as the console mode program for our application. And unfortunately, doing it this way makes it default console mode program for everything. At any rate, that's the situation at present. Before running Array43 on the PC, we recommend that you make sure you can find the icons because there are several different ones for starting it up in different modes. If you're using a Windows 7 style start button, including the one that comes from Start is Back, there is an option to see a menu there called All Programs. And if you do, then by default, there will be a directory called GreenArrays on all programs with all of our shortcuts in it. If you didn't use the defaults, it'll be wherever you said to put it. If you can't find the All Programs view of the available cataloged programs, then you need to take a look at the directory in which you installed the system. We chose here GreenArrays, which is the default directory in C drive, which is the default disk. And in the GreenArrays directory, you'll find various things. EVB002 is where the evalboard 2 version of Array43 lives. There's documentation in the main part of that directory, and there are some links to the colorforth code if you want to mess with that. But the important thing here is finding these shortcuts, and they are in SF for Saneforth. Here are 5 startups. Well, there's actually 3 shortcuts and 1 copy of the icon. But the guys with the yellow backgrounded owl logo are G144A12, Panic, and SoftSim. The normal one here for you to use is the G144A12 shortcut. When you use that, you get a nice blue screen, and it will have already loaded the Array4th environment, as shown by the help screen that is now displayed on the console screen that is created when you activate the shortcut. Now, if this is the first time you've communicated with your chips or the board that your chips are on, you'll need to arrange for serial communication between the PC and your board. We're going to present this from the perspective of the GreenArrays evaluation board just for brevity. The evaluation board has 3 instances of the FTDI USB to serial interface on it. And so the 3 interfaces there will be the ones that you want to hook this thing up to. There are other boards in existence made by ourselves and others that have varying arrangements, but what you really want in all cases is an FTDI USB to serial communication interface, because in our experience, the only serial interface for USB that exists that does not have a common bug, which I believe was infected from the original DDK examples, which caused the thing to lose sync with its outbound ring buffer eventually. All the other serial interfaces we've used eventually will lose that synchronization, such that if you type an E, it doesn't get to the destination until you type in after it, and now the E goes out. And of course, this wreaks havoc when trying to simulate disk and things like that over the serial line. So in all cases, we'll be talking to an FTDI interface, we hope. Also, by the way, we run the FTDI interfaces, at least on the eval board, at nearly a megabaud because we can. If the others that you're using have wire between the FTDI and whatever board you're using, you may need to make twisted pairs. You may need to worry about transmission line issues. You may need to slow the baud rate down. One example is our manual chip test board, which we can only run at 480K baud for that reason. At any rate, let's go find out now how to set up the serial ports on your PC, because they require some attention. Please refer to section 12.2.1 entitled Identifying and Configuring COM ports in the DB013 Array43 User's Manual. This pertains to Windows boxes. If you're running on Parallels or Wine or any of the other Win32 platforms for other operating systems, you'll have to do it in other ways that are specific to those platforms. We're not going to cover those here. The trick is always identifying which COM port number a given one of your serial interfaces is. And one of the things you can do is look at the device manager and consecutively plug and unplug that interface to see which COM port appears and disappears. As soon as you've identified which COM port that is, then you know which one to go and adjust. By the way, which one to adjust will remain stable, or should, because we comply with the conventions of putting a unique serial number in each one of the FTDI chips on boards we ship. That will cause Windows, at least, to always assign that particular FTDI chip the same COM port number from then on after you've configured it, unless you take an update. And Windows is famous for forgetting all about those mappings when an update comes through. So anytime you take a Windows update, beware you might have to go and re-identify all of your serial ports and redo this little process. Too bad we didn't write that stinking code. And we didn't come up with that arrogance of tearing half your configuration apart on an update either. So after you've identified a COM port that you wish to use to talk to our chip, you need to select that COM port's properties from the device manager on your system. That will give you a window that looks, or a dialog that looks like this. There's the properties for COM port 13. And if we say port settings, we will get this set of trivial ones. None of these matter. None of these have anything to do with us, because we tell the port what to do when we connect up to it. You say advanced, and advanced will give you a different menu. Let's switch over to it now. This is what advanced gets you. And your attention needs to be drawn to several things on this that by default are completely wrong for efficient use at high speeds. The receive and transmit settings for USB transfer sizes need to be reduced from 4K, which is the default, to, we found what works pretty well is 128. Likewise, down here, the settings to correct response problems of latency timer, reduce that from 16 milliseconds to 1 millisecond. Finally, there are some options over here called miscellaneous options. Serial enumerator talks to your board about irrelevant stuff whenever it feels like it, and that's kind of challenging because, of course, you don't want the thing to be talking to our board by itself. We want you to be talking to the board. So turn that one off. And then down here, set RTS on close. That will prevent closing aRAY4 from resetting your board if the RTS line is connected to reset, as it often is. And this disable modem control at startup needs to be turned on, again, because otherwise Windows will send irrelevant characters to the board, which will mess it all up. So this is the setting on the right side. Set RTS on close, disable modem control at startup, and here 128, 128, and 1. And again, whenever Windows takes an update, you may have to, after re-identifying the COM ports, also reset these parameters. Again, our apologies, we didn't design the code. So, onward and upward. After you've done that to all of the COM ports that you intend to use for talking to your chips, we're ready to actually do things.